All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the Closers Club. Super excited today. I wanted to make sure that we got this podcast in time because I'm here with my good friend, legitimate, great guy. Love this guy, Logan Fullmer, one of the smartest guys in the industry. I have to pay really close attention just to even keep up with a little bit of the stuff that he is doing. But he's got a really cool event coming up in Phoenix. We're going to talk about that. But Logan, for the people that don't know you, like literally everybody who does, they realize that you are the absolute master of just crazy, messy deals. And honestly, just taking a pile of dog shit and turning it into, just enormous profitable deals. And I heard on Brent Daniels' podcast, you said you've done, was it $20 million in a year? Like,
yeah, we've actually done more than that, but as the market's cooled,
yeah,
we've gotten better. We actually have to do less sales to make more profit.
Right.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, how did you get into it? Like, how did you figure out this, this weird distressed property? And I want you to kind of give me a little idea of what that actually means so that we can explain to people why they should be at this event here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me back up and say, thanks for having me on. Love you, dude. Thank you. And the kind words, I really appreciate. It matters. So I remember wanting to get into real estate and I just didn't know what I didn't know. And at the time I wasn't like looking on Facebook and YouTube and all that, because a lot of what's out there over the last 10 years wasn't there, 10, 11, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I was just trying to figure out what made sense. And I remember working in the oil field, saving money. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking in San Antonio saying, okay, I can buy vacant lots downtown. There's no buildings. So I don't have to rent them. Yeah. I can buy these lots for $5,000 and it's like a 5 to 10,000 square foot lot. You can build a house there. There's curbs and gutters. There's utilities. And it's in the 7th largest city in the United States. Like, I can't lose money. And that was my biggest concern because I'd blown about $1 million inheritance 10 years ago while I was a drug addict and troublemaker. Yeah. So when I went back to oil field, I had $5,000 left in my checking account. That was it. Wow. So I was scared about the loss more than I was the upside. I wanted to invest and make money, but I didn't want to lose anything. Mm-hmm. So I bought all these vacant lots. And during that time, I started getting offers on them of I bought them for $5,000 and $10,000. I was getting offers $100,000, $200,000 for them in a short period of time, like 3 years. Yeah. Okay.
And these are infill lots. We're not talking about 40 acres outside of the city. Okay.
No, you're talking about 1 mile from the central business district or less.
Okay. Got it.
It was just the east side. A lot of cities have this side of town or the side of the city that's kind of turning and in bad shape. Mm-hmm. And that was there. And I didn't really know, but I knew they were cheap. I couldn't lose money. Yeah. And it was so close to the central business district. I thought I'd seen like the other big cities in Texas, those places go up in value. And I thought, man, if that ever happens here, I'm striking it rich. And I was pure gambling. This was speculation. This wasn't investing now that I know. But I was starting to get offers from realtors on these things. And I'd blown, the couple $100,000 that I'd saved in the oil field. I'd blown it all on this land, $5,000 and $10,000 a pop. Wow. And when I started getting these offers of $100,000, $200,000 for them, I'm like, oh shit, I'm rich. This is real. But I got laid off in the oil field about that time and I could care less. I got a couple $100,000 came back from a sale. And I'm like, I got 3, 4, 5 years of living expenses in my pocket now. Right. At the time I'm still single, no family. So I go back to try to buy more of these lots. And I'm knocking on doors, talking to people, and they're like, I'm not selling to you for $5,000. It's worth $100. It's worth $50 and whatever. I'm like,
should have bought more. Every person who's been investing for 20 years is like, damn, I should have bought more stuff.
Right. And I went deep. I spent every nickel I had. So I went as deep as I could. Looking back, I would have borrowed $10 million, but hindsight's 2020. So what happened is I remember looking around at these lots and I was calling people and I was getting these negative responses. And there were a couple of them that had big tax balances. They've been owned for a long time by people. And I remember thinking, well, those haven't sold. Let me call them. And I remember talking to these owners and it was just a big mess. But right about that time, I went to go sell one of the properties and I bought title insurance with all these, but a couple of them I didn't. And a couple of sellers were like, you can come to my house with the cash and a deed. I ain't going to a title company. Well, I didn't know. The reason is there were problems.
They were smarter than you. They knew.
They were more educated than me at the time. Yeah. But I bought a couple of those lots anyway. Well, I went to go sell one of them to turn some cash around. And the title company said, okay, Logan, you got your buyer. Great. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There's you and 9 other sellers. They didn't sign the contract. 8 other sellers. I'm like, no. I own it. I got the deed. And they're like, but there's 8 other owners.
Right. Yeah.
So I had to go through this process of hiring a lawyer asking him questions. He thought I was an idiot. It never worked. But I, ask a question, get an answer. Ask a question, go to the field. Come back, ask a question, get an answer, go to the field. Yeah. Over the summer, I aggregated all 8 owners. And I was offering $500 a piece because it was a wreck. There were judgments and liens. You had to do some estate work. And when I got done, the properties were $125,000, and I was only in it for 20 at the time.
Wow.
So when that happened, this was 2017. I did a year in review. I remember looking at the end of the year, and I did a couple of those, like 2 of them. Mm-hmm. One of them that I owned and had to fix. Another one I just was like, I guess I'll try this stupidly. At the end of the year, I'm like, those are my best deals.
Interesting.
And at that point, I went that direction, hit the gas. Today, I've got an office of 25 people. We do tens of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Margins are incredible, 50% plus margins. This is what we do. We've got 3 attorneys in this office, another attorney and 2 paralegals are about to get hired, private investigators. Like, this is all we do. And it was started out on the east side of San Antonio. We expanded to Texas because I found that the same $50,000 or $100,000 lot that I could double my money on in San Antonio was the same work in Austin, but the lot was worth $500,000 downtown. Same work, more money. And there are very few investment theses that actually scale like that.
Yes. Right. So these are deals that they can't sell with a realtor, right? They've been, land is one of those things, right? We've heard this when we owned a title company. Land has the most title issues of any asset class because it gets handed down and people attach liens and back taxes and all of that stuff. So they can't sell with a realtor. Every, janky wholesaler who comes along, baby wholesaler, is not going to ever be able to close it. So they've probably been strung out a bunch of times, and they're just looking for somebody that, again, can solve that problem and, get this off of their plate.
Yeah, that's it. The top title problems I see are judgments and liens that kill the equity or threaten it.
Yeah.
Missing or unresolved probates or estates,
right.
Fighting owners, and breaks in the title chain, which can be caused by missing deeds, missing probates, ownership things. Those are the top 4. And these are the deals that even like the sophisticated wholesalers, like the large big box national ones, they don't want to mess with because process-wise, it's not worth it.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, just the time and energy that goes into it. And this is something I say to our clients all the time. Most of the deals that we take 6-8 months to close for people, like I would have cut them loose. Like when I was solo, I'm like, I don't have time for this. I need to go on to the next deal and get my next 40,000. This one's just not worth the aggravation. And those are the deals that generally get left behind. But I love that you're specifically targeting those. So 2018 is when you really got into it. When did you start to feel really comfortable like with this process, and kind of what have you added in over the years?
Today we have education. Like I've built a roadmap over the last 10 or 12 years of complete real estate operations. So there's actually a process we have, like systems, processes, there's an outline.
Yeah.
But back then it took me 2, 3, 4 years as I'm like getting into it, doing more of them, not earning as much as I want, earning more, figuring it out.
Right.
I mean, there was no place like people can now come to me and say, how do I do this? I'm like, here's how. This is the process.
Yeah.
Back then, I'm just like finding a new problem. There was literally unlimited problems for 2 or 3 years. I'd come across an unreleased mortgage. I'd come across a lawsuit that went dormant. I'd come across an owner that vanished in Venezuela during a military tour. Like, it was just like, what the hell is going on? Learning how to solve all those. And then over time, you find there's about 5 or 10 real problems you typically see. Now it's
80-20 rule. Like that's the bulk of your problem. And it's funny. I just got off of another presentation. We were talking about dispositions, and I'm like, listen, getting rich isn't exciting or sexy. It's having a system and just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And you don't need to recreate the wheel. You just got to find somebody that's already done this and plug into that system. But make sure that you invest the time and you follow up and you actually do all of the things. So I love that you're making that available to people. And I know you've done a couple of these, and everyone just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why I want to talk about this, because I think this is, maybe if you're a wholesaler and you're out there struggling and kind of guide me on who should be at these events and studying from this, but it doesn't necessarily have to be everything you do, but it can be a nice add-on, right, to the business, at least initially, until you feel comfortable.
There are 3 types of people that I see commonly. Folks that want to get into real estate, don't know anything about it. I say, start here. It pays the best. Other ones are folks that are house flipping and wholesaling, doing seller finance notes, all this stuff, and they say it's getting tougher these days, more competition, market's soft. I want to improve my business, whether I completely change my model or just improve what I'm doing. And then the third one is they come from the second category. They don't abandon their model. They keep their model, but they use this to improve it significantly.
Right. Yeah, because now you can start to go deeper. You don't have to go, oh, I can't find deals. I'm going to go into 42 different markets and spread out my marketing. Let's just really focus here. And I know this is true because our mutual friend Sheik, who's behind the camera there, he's getting deals and cashing checks. So I know that you've got the roadmap for them that says, hey, do this and then do it. Because him and I talk all the time. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I'm talking to people, bam, I'm popping these deals, and he's got some really good ones. So I love that you've absolutely simplified it so that anybody literally can do this, right? And it's not, it doesn't seem any harder than any other strategy. It's just you're just going down a different road.
It is a lot harder, but if you have the right guidance, it gets a lot easier. My program manager, who runs our coaching and scheduling and all that, comes into my office. I love to tell this one. She's from the project management and sales background. She does not know real estate. She bought her own home. That's it. Comes into my office several months ago. She's like, Logan, I got this guy who's willing to sell me his house for 80 grand. And I'm like, what? Like your neighbor? She's like, no, I called him. He's out in Newton, Texas. I'm like, what planet am I? What is going on? She's like, well, I listened to your calls the other day and you said, go into this place and find these people and sign up for this program for $20 a month to get their phone numbers and call them and see how much they owe and make them an offer this way. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, we look at the deal. I'm like, you can't pay 80. We size up towards 160. I'm like, nah, I can't pay 80. Tell them you give them 50. They settle on 60, sign the deal up. We literally just exited that thing like a month ago. She got this like big old, I JV'd with her because I paid for it. She got this big old check, but the point is like, she ain't from the real estate world. She's been around and heard it, but she hasn't sat through all the training. She hasn't she's got enough picked up in our office to do. And I'm like, man, if Shelly can do it.
Yeah. And listen, all of these strategies work and everybody can do it. I think the thing that holds people back, it's fear, right? And being in a program like this and having the coaching and the mentoring and somebody that you can lean on and go, Logan, I don't know what to do. I've got this issue. Oh, right. Because it's something that you've done every day, similar to stuff that we've done. And, having somebody like that takes the fear away and gives you the confidence, even if it's borrowed confidence, right? To go out there and do these types of deals. And there's just so much money to be made, but not only the money, right? This is what we do as investors. This is our job. Like Liam Neeson and Taken, right? We have a special set of skills, and there are people out there that are freaking losing sleep every single night over these properties. And they need somebody that can come in and solve these problems. And, investors, I know a lot of people love to say that we're the scum of the earth, because if you ever read my Instagram comments, that's what I get. I don't know what you get, but literally people have no other solution. There is nobody else that can solve this problem, and they don't have the money to dump $40,000 into some attorney to solve them for them. So I think what you're doing is absolutely just amazing work. So let's transition a little bit. Let's talk about this event you've got coming up in Phoenix. I was just telling you, I literally planned for this like 4 months ago to make sure that I was going to be there. Super excited. Tell me about what you're doing, like how you're going to help people and what they can expect when they get there.
Yes, I'm excited to have you there, man. We're really proud of this. I'll preface by saying a lot of real estate events have 10 different speakers. Everybody's pitching something different, and you'll learn a lot, but you're going to get a lot of pitches. And we never did it that way. We started out the very first time in San Antonio with 70 people in a room, and my job was to charge them a fee for the Saturday and give them all this information I learned. I had nothing to sell. I haven't until just recently since I started coaching. But pretty much all the speakers except one, Bradley's going to speak there. That's more like motivation, trusting yourself, like believing in you. Otherwise, it's everyone that's in my office, my partners, my operators. Like, this is our stuff, and this is a full day's training. So for the same price as like one lawyer hour, you get 2 lawyers speaking, and operators are making tens of millions of dollars a year. It is pure education and training. And I think we've done an incredible job at taking 10 years worth of work and distilling it into 8 hours. Now, yes, there are things you have to learn in the field that we can't teach you in 8 hours, but we started the process from what is a prospect? What is a lead? How do you research them? How do you decide which ones to call? What is the scripting like? We brought in this person who does seller psychology. So a big gap people were saying is, well, I figured all these good leads. What do I say to them? Now we brought in someone who does a 45-minute presentation on the scripting and the conversations to arm people with that. And then after that, you've got deal structuring, financing, and I do a good talk myself personally on, do you want a lifestyle business with 1 or 2 people making a lot of money, or do you want a big operation like we have? I help people understand what that looks like so that they can plan better and decide how that looks.
Yeah, not everybody. I've run big operations. I've run small operations, and there are days I wish I was running it just with me and one other person. And then there are other days where I'm like, I have 25 people and I can leave for 3 weeks and the operation still runs. So pros and cons to both.
Yeah, and it's a message that people need to know because it helps them do what they want to do better with that guidance. Yeah. So then I have a couple of attorneys coming in that work with me to talk about how the laws work across the states, because we're in 7 states and we're quickly crossing them. And then also, what does it look like, the legal side with probate or non-probate affidavit of heirship, in lieu of probate? 2 separate attorneys talk about that stuff. I brought in the retired FBI agents who are private investigators that work with us to talk about how to find people that you can't find now. That's a fun one. Like we set up surveillance. We have crazy operations going now to find people.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's pretty cool. So we go through all that. We talk about, I do a personal discussion about litigation a little bit. I don't want people to be afraid of it because people think it is something that it's not. So if I'm running a business and I get sued for sexual harassment or something, they might take your business down, or a competitor sues you for some weird thing. That's different. This isn't that. Most of this litigation is solving title problems, dealing with ownership issues. And there's a budget in these projects for it that doesn't kill your margin and still allows you to make money. So this is a unique kind of litigation, so to speak. So I talked to that, and then we do a pretty good expert panel.
Nice. So give me the spectrum. Give me an easy deal. One of these that you did that was just boom, boom, boom. It was very simple. And then I want to hear the crazy stuff.
I'm glad you're talking about the easy one first, because when people first get into this, they get overwhelmed by this complicated stuff we talk about. Everyone that we coach, everyone that's new, I tell them, don't do the hard ones. Do like my program manager and go find a 1, 2 owner, 3 owner deal. They just don't get along, and they're just not willing to deal with the problems. They're many times delinquent on mortgage, taxes, or have some judgments. We can find those in the land record simply. Go talk to them all separately, contract them separately, close them separately so that their cross-fighting doesn't kill your deal. And then your goal is to buy it for 10 to 50 cents on the dollar. You just you pay the debts, or nowadays we're buying a lot of them subject to, and we don't pay off the debts. File the deeds, clear title, and we'll go sell it on the MLS with a realtor or through an investor lift or one of these disposal platforms. And then the taxes get paid at closing through the title company pays them off out of the seller's money, and we just get to keep the difference. That manages your capital a little bit better.
Sure. Fantastic. So so what you're saying is people can come in and do this. They can come to this event and they can learn how to do the very simplest of deals. So that's fantastic. And I agree with you. I go to some events, we've got some mutual friends, and they get up there and it gets so complicated. People are enthralled. They're captivated, but they walk out of the room. I don't know what the fuck just happened. I come out of some of those meetings and I'm like, wow, dude, I followed every third word. And I've been doing this 20 years. I can't fucking follow what you're talking about. And that's awesome. But you're entertaining somebody, not really teaching them. There's nothing actionable they can leave there with. So I love that you're really breaking this down into little baby steps. But I do think it's cool to talk about the other deals, right? So give me that was the funky, rough and wild, world of Logan Fullmer.
I got 2 of them that I'll tell you about.
Okay.
One of them we closed 2 years ago. It's just the largest quantity of owners that we've ever come close to. So I'm going to talk about that one. And then the other one I'll talk about, we just closed that one maybe 60 days ago. That one literally took 10 years worth of experience, and we ripped through that deal. When we were done, I was shocked. I was so proud of what we did. I don't know that anybody else could have pulled this off except for us. And it took me, my partner, Ryan, and a guy who brought it in, Chris. And he's a smart, he's been around this stuff for a while. Mm-hmm. It was this property's delinquent tax, and there was no mortgage. So the good news is there's typically more equity because there's no mortgage, but there was about $500,000 owed in taxes. And and the appraisal district said it was worth $400,000. So you're negative equity. and it was in a hot market, Dallas. Everyone is looking over this.
Okay.
It was in an industrial subdivision, all these warehouses in one vacant lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring it to me, and I'm like, dude, how much is this worth? Unless it's worth $1 million or $2 million, like, dude, there's $500,000 in taxes. No way. Well, they didn't like my answer. They went back and figured out that it was worth a lot more than what the tax value said.
Okay.
So they said, let's dig in. They call the seller. And the reason the tax debt had gotten so high is the seller was a very sophisticated bankruptcy gamer. He had this massive development company from Texas to California, and he was currently living in Florida. It was all falling apart, but he had all these separate entities. He was filing bankruptcy. He kept a bankruptcy alive for 10 years and managing to pull cash out of this and just play in the system. But the one deal that never got resolved because the debt was so high, and he didn't even know the value of the property, was this one. He was letting it go to foreclosure. The development company had been through bankruptcy, but the bankruptcy was closed, and it didn't mention this one asset. There was a trustee that was an LLC, and his lawyer was the manager of that LLC.
Okay.
And the issue was the title company said that thing you got to reopen the bankruptcy notice of this property, get clearance to close it. And what we realized is the beneficiary of the owner was the person who'd been in bankruptcy, but the trustee had not been in bankruptcy. That entity that was the trustee. And in the state this was in, title is taken in the trustee's name, not the beneficiary's name. So if the trustee never goes through bankruptcy or the trust doesn't file bankruptcy, then it has no business in the bankruptcy estate.
I love it.
So we figured that part out because we know these rules pretty well, and we kept hitting them back with the underwriter, and the underwriter started to bite. And I'm like, oh my God, go back and sign a contract, dude. We might have a shot. So we go back to the seller and say, it's a train wreck. We know it's a train wreck. We're actually talking to his lawyer, and his lawyer says, we'll take 25 grand. We could care less. We can close it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll give you 25 grand, but sign the contract. I'm going to give you $3 grand down, and then you get the 22,000 in 6 months, or when I clear title, the sooner of the two.
Yeah.
I'm still terrified of this $500,000 tax bill, and we got 2 weeks to the sale. So I'm just like,
oh, so sale's coming. So you're on the clock.
Yeah, foreclosure is going to wipe us all out if we don't rip a $500,000 check to save it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the other guys starts calling brokers to affirm pricing, see if anybody's got offers, because it's like a developed subdivision for the industrial park. One of the brokers says, I think I have a buyer for $1 million. Another broker says, I think you can get $1.5 million. We're like, okay, there's equity. Well, the neighbor who was planning, he's got a big warehouse. He wanted to expand his footprint. He'd been talking to the city about what it took to develop it. He was planning on going to the sale. He called the tax office to get the final payoff to see where it was going to auction. And they said, somebody called. They've already bought this. I think it's going to get paid. So we got in contact with the neighbor. He was mad. He thought he's getting it for 500. We're like, it's worth $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Broker says, take it to the market, get $1.5 million. I'm like, man, this market's soft. It's commercial. It takes longer. Broker says you're going to get $1.5 million. Commercial always sells for less. You're going to get $1.2 million. You're going to pay $100 grand in brokerage fees. We might get $1 million, $1.1 million. The neighbor then came back to us and we said, give us your final best because we're paying this off. We're going to go to market.
Yeah.
He says he'll give us $1 million.
Take it.
So then I'm like, okay, let me see the money. You got proof of funds.
Yeah. Let's see.
He shows it to us. Now we rush back to the title company and say,
Close.
Give us your final answer. Are you cool with our structure? Do you believe like we are good? They said yes. So we contracted with this dude. We closed in 18 days, which is a few days before the sale. Stopped the sale. His money came into title, paid the $500,000 in tax debt. We paid the $22,000 back to the seller. We walked with $409,000 in 18 days.
That's impressive.
Now, full disclosure, my company gets half. The guy who brought it to me and worked it with us, Chris, gets the other half. But we traded pure knowledge and experience. It was only $3 grand out of pocket, dude.
Right. That's insane. But that's what happens when you pick a strategy, you stick with it, and you become an expert at it. You're not bouncing around to storage units and lease options and wholesale and land development and, pick something and stick with it. Yeah.
Right there.
Put your blinders on. That's what we used to say in the wholesale business is we stay in our lane. We do one thing and we do it fucking better than anybody else there is. And you have absolutely taken this to the highest level possible. And I love that you're training people to do this. And my friend Sheik, he's so happy, he's making a ton of money. Where do they go to get tickets? What's the spot? What's the link? What, like, it is in Phoenix, guys. I'm telling you, I am flying there. You can get cheap flights right now. There's no place literally better in the country. I'm in Tennessee and I can't wait to leave here because it's like 18 degrees. And we're all going to meet up in Phoenix in a couple of weeks and have a big old party and really enjoy this and write it all off. But where can they go to get tickets?
If you go to loganfullmer.com, there should be a link in there. If you go to my Instagram, Logan Fullmer, there's a million links in there.
Okay. Cool. Well, what we'll do, guys, this is going to get dropped out here really quick. We're going to push it out because the event is coming, and I'll get you guys a direct link in the comments below. So click on that. I'm going to be there. Literally everybody I know that is in Phoenix, all the stars. You've got some amazing sponsors like Investor Lift. Who else is going to be there? Who else is notable that's going to be there?
The guys from Batch Services are coming. Bradley's coming. Carlos Reyes is going to be there with us.
Carlos, good guy.
We have a big group of folks that have taken this business model seriously. Mm-hmm. And I would call them like the next level of experts in this industry. Yeah. Almost all of them are coming from all over the United States.
Yeah.
But on the back of that, I've got to mention something. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, is this going to get saturated? Is this like whatever business model? I'm like, dude, no one has talked about this. This has not been serious. I've pilfered Texas, and we have more operators coming to Texas than you can imagine. And there are I'm continuing to grow every year. Yeah. We're now in 7 states, but when I get to Atlanta, Georgia, and did a couple deals up there, I just did one in New York. Dude, there ain't a soul in Atlanta doing this. Yeah. Not a soul. It could take 30 operators going full bore like us in Atlanta and not scratch the service. Right. And count the other Illinois. I mean, dude, just keep going. Like, yeah.
And that's the wrong mindset. And I know Brad's probably going to talk about that. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but you cannot. I was just talking about this to somebody else. You can't have that scarcity mindset. My God, I get it. We all have that like protection mechanism inside us that's like, don't go out of the cave. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is going to get you. Get up in a fucking plane and look down at how many houses are out there. There are 380 million people or something in this country. And a lot of them have bad deeds, bad deeds that need to be cleared up. We couldn't possibly touch them all. Like it's just, if you had 10,000 people in that room, we wouldn't get them all.
So I've got a great business. I've already said that. I make a lot of money. I would be a fool to make a little bit of money doing coaching and education and threaten that business. I have learned that those two work great together. We do a ton of JV deals with people. We will pilfer this market for the next 20 years. I'll go off and retire somewhere. The next round we'll take it, and there will be plenty of deals.
Right. No, there's all kinds of deals. So guys, it's the date. Is it the 31st? 31st of January. Be in Phoenix. I am going to be there. Literally every guy that I know in the industry is going to be there. That's serious.
Yeah.
If you're serious about growing your business, if you came into 2026 and you had goals and you wanted to do more revenue and you wanted to learn how to do more deals and you want to go deeper in your market, and this doesn't mean you've got to do PPC marketing in 42,000 markets all across the country. These deals are out there. These people need help. And he has just told us the simple ones, the complicated ones, everything in between. But this is the way, right? This is how you're going to hit your goals this year. So happy that you're doing this at the beginning of the year. Like I told you, I've been planning this for 4 months, so I'm very excited. Guys, make sure that you are there and bring a lot of notebooks, a lot of pens, and not only that, but you'll be in the room with probably 800 very serious investors all across the country. So it's going to be great for networking and building your business. And I'm not a tax accountant and I didn't sleep at Holiday Inn last night, but it's probably a tax deduction of some sort for you. So I think it's going to be great. Logan, so excited. Can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks.